Sup? I came across a interesting thread today when I woke up, which is data and analysis from over 400 red maps, and it's a cool thread. Go check it. I'll link it in the description. But what made me very interested is he kept track of his, walling. So he walled 106 maps. 25 were rerolled 8 mods. 14 got a +1. 29 unid'd. 28 nothing, and then 10 rerolled for the same tier. Right? So if we go to wiki and check wall orbs, you know what wall orb does. We have 4 outcomes. We have no effect, other than the corrupted property. Adds a level, changes base type to, blah 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 blah. Also gives you a wall tempo, potentially, if you corrupt a T15, a non-shaped T15. Reroll the item into a rare with up to 8 random affixes. Up to 8 random affixes means that it could hit 7 affixes too. Unidentify the item with some extra bonus, and then you have corrupting a shape or elder map, change it to. This isn't really relevant to the outcome. This is just like what happens if you do it on a shape or elder base. But these are the 4 important ones, right? So we have these 4 outcomes. So if we distribute these, what he found out, based on this, we would have 14 +1s, 29 unid'd, 28 nothings, and 35 reroll rare up to 8 mods. Right? Now, of course, we don't know for sure about this, but I think the commonly accepted thing is that all of them are equally weighted, so you don't have like a crazy lower chance to get a +1 or like an unid'd compared to a nothing, etc. And this is more or less the distribution you expect if you count the same tier rerolls as the failed +1. So if you add the 10 rerolled to the +1, then you would have 25, 14, 29, and 28, which would make sense for the equally weighted, right? So either this is wrong, this isn't enough of maps for the what's the word? It isn't big enough. God damn it, English is hard, especially after my couple hours of spending time walling maps. Sample size, thank you. Yeah. So I kinda wanted to test this a bit. So instead of 106, I walled 1400 maps. But yeah, so let's go about a bit. So the premise is that all the outcomes are equally weighted, right? Currently we believe that there's 4 outcomes, which is the nothing happens, unid'd, reroll up to 8 mods, which would include 7 mods, and then a +1. Okay, so if that's true, then we would be expecting around 25% of the maps that we corrupt to become a +1. But based on this small number of 106 maps, only 14 went +1. Okay, so now we question. Okay, so is there a 5th one? So do we have to split the reroll 4 to 6 mods, because you're gonna find out 7 mods don't exist, and then the +1 mod, right? Are these like 2 different things? Or like, sorry, are the reroll 4 to 6 and 8 mods different ones? That way, we would still be expecting around 20% of the maps to get a +1, right? Also, what this kind of fails, like the big thing both of these fail, is when you corrupt Guardian maps, So, you know, Phoenix, Hydra, Chimera, and Minotaur, since they can't go +1, so you would have to remove one of the outcomes completely. Now, of course, you could code it so that if it hits +1 and it fails because it can't get, then it just rolls again until it hits the one of them. But that would mean that you will be getting more UnIDs, more 8 mods, or more like random rerolls and no changes, right? So that's like kind of where it falls a bit short. So what if the actual outcomes are no chains, UnID'd, 8 mods, so 8 mods is its own, completely own mod, and then you have a reroll for 4 to 6 mods with a chance for a +1. 50%, you know, guess. That would mean that would explain why corrupting Guardian maps, is gonna find out soon-ish, don't give you a lot more of the other maps. It doesn't give you crazy amount of extra amount of UnID'd 8 mod nothings compared to the reroll 4 to 6 mods. It just fails the second part, which is the +1, right? So first I did 1000 maps. I did 1000 maps between tier 1 and tier 14, and then I did another 208 with tier 15s, like you see here. And when we combine the 15s as well on the 1000, we get 317 UnID'd, 284 no chains, 289 8 mods, and then 318 rerolls, which of 161 were 4 to 6 mods on the same base map, and then 157 were +1s. Now, someone with better math head, I would like someone to calculate like the expected, like is this like the confident on how likely, you know, this would be the true, right? Based on the amount of maps we have here, right? And then from the 15s, which I wanted to test for wall temples, I wanted to test that when you corrupt these like adjacent T15s to your Guardian maps, is the wall temple like a lower chance, or is it just like basically having like a invisible adjacency line, right? So my guess would be that 50% of the +1 corruptions would be wall temples. And turns out it was pretty accurate that we got, out of 29 +1s, we got 15 temples. And here's the distribution for the other ones, right? And then we did 200 Guardian maps, which aren't included in this number yet. We got 44 UnID'd, 53 no chains, 55 extra mods, like 8 mods, and then we got 48 for the 6 mods. Which, sure, there's some difference, but when you combine all of these with these, we got a pretty close number. Now, of course, in this, I'm not gonna add the bracket for how many of them were +1s, because none of the Guardian maps can get a +1, right? So yeah, I think this explains a lot why, like, generally it feels like people are expecting more of the maps to turn into +1, me included. And I was just like, fuck, I'm just unlucky because I walled 20 maps and only 2 of them went +1 or something like that. When, if this is the case for the actual outcomes of the wall orbs, that's actually pretty close. I would, if you got interested, especially the guys running Guardian maps, I would really love if you kept track on what happens when you corrupt the maps. Because this is only still, what, 1400 maps. Sure, it's quite a bit, and somebody calculating confidence would be pretty damn nice, but I think this is pretty good evidence that at least this one isn't true. And somebody needs to edit the wiki to change this. You know, we can't, there's no 7 mod maps. I have a lot of maps here. So these are all the UNIDs. Then we have no changes. We have 8 mods. And then we have reroll 4 to 6 affixes. And then we have the +1s from the first like 1000. Then these are all the T15s. So UNIDs, nothings. 8 mods. Either 4 to 6 mod or the +1. And these are like, these are the numbers on the notepad. They're pretty close. And then we have the Guardian maps. So yeah, just got interested and wanted to do some testing, and I'm pretty confident in saying that we've, at least the majority of the people have thought about the Valor things, including me, incorrectly. So yeah, it was interesting. Hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully you guys track a bit of your Valing. And I will also have the full video of the highlight of me going all of these maps through all of these 1400 maps in the description if somebody wants to check. Also one thing. All of the maps, the first 1200 maps, all of them were magic quality, so, or rarity, so that whenever a map does no chains or goes unID'd, it will stay magic, so it will lower the risk of like my human error, right, of noticing it. And then for the Guardian maps, I did all of them rare, but I went them, I like typed them in the like linked them in the chat so that we could check what's the outcome. So there might be some mistakes, and that's why I'm gonna have the full video if somebody wants to go check it. It was interesting. Yeah, hope you enjoyed.